Hello and welcome to the Digital Prosperity Podcast. I'm here, Williamson, with David Roberts.
Hello, and it's nice to be back, isn't it, Will?
Lovely to be back. We had a brief sit in the HubSpot podcast studio last week.
We did.
We had a trip to Dublin to see HubSpot's new, well, not that new now, but 2-year-old office. That's a good studio.
It was a great studio, and we must put the photo in with this podcast, Will.
Yeah.
We absolutely was, because we were looking good. We were trying to pass it off as our studio, weren't we? But I don't think we'll get away with that.
Yeah. So yes, we were in HubSpot House in a podcast studio with views out over the river in middle of Dublin.
Yeah,
fantastic,
the river that runs through it. Anyone knows the name, please let us know, because I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, so in slightly less glamorous surroundings here in Derby, looking out at the train station.
But just as informative, Will.
Absolutely. Now, we have been working with businesses for nearly 20 years now. And in this show, we want to talk about a real blurring of the lines between sales and marketing, and how a lot of business owners listening to this will see the two things as either the same or two ends of the same spectrum, and confuse the two things. Now, this has been a subject close to your heart for some time now.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What mistakes or misconceptions are business owners having in this front, do you think?
Well, I think, that if you look at marketing covers a whole array of different types of companies. Mm-hmm. You've got branding companies that it's a marketing function, but it's a specific marketing function.
Yeah.
Yes. You have PR, which is a marketing function, okay, but it's a specific type of marketing function. Mm-hmm. You have lead generation, which is marketing, yes, but again, different from the other two that I've just mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes we need to understand exactly what each one does for the SME, because they ultimately, most SMEs with their marketing want to bring new customers to their business. But when you're invested in marketing, understand the difference between that and a sales function of the company. Mm-hmm. They're very closely related, but they have different functions.
Yeah.
And I think quite often those lines get blurred. And I think a good starting point, would be, let's take Nike, for example, or Adidas, or any other big corporate entity that's business to consumer. Their marketing is all based around getting their brand in front of the consumer. Mm-hmm. So that the consumer recognises that brand, that it stands for something. Mm-hmm. And they emotionally connect with that message. And as a result of that emotional connection, they act, for example. Yeah. That's expensive, yes. It's now worldwide, and that is a marketing function, but it's totally different to what an SME would do. Mm-hmm. If we take BMW, they get involved in all sorts of marketing. Right now, one of the newest parts of BMW will do, and some other big companies, they use influencers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They will use people who've got an online presence to promote a product. Once again, that's getting eyeballs in front of the product, with the hope that as a result of that, and the result of what the influencer is saying about that product, that they then, as a result, go out and buy that product. Mm-hmm. That is different to what a real marketing function in terms of lead generation would want to achieve in a small to mid-sized business, which is where we spend most of our time being in that sector and helping business owners. And sometimes business owners need to understand whether they want branding or lead generation or PR or whatever it may be.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we talk to a lot of business owners about their marketing. We say, right, what are you looking for from your marketing? And they will say something like, well, I want to double my revenue, or I want to increase sales by £200,000. So they look at, they want the end result, which is more sales, more revenue, and they won't necessarily do that with better marketing alone.
Correct.
And you can't just advertise your company and you will therefore instantly make more sales. But like you said, take the example of brand awareness. I always remember running a telemarketing campaign for business utilities for a relatively unknown brand. And all of a sudden that company was acquired by British Gas, which obviously is a very well-known brand. And then the same team of telemarketers ringing the same business owners, having the same conversations, the very next day suddenly started making 5 times as many leads and generating a much, much bigger response. Same scripts, same people, same process, same data. The only difference was that British Gas is a household name. People knew it and trusted it. And that's the power of brand awareness. And that takes time to build, and it's expensive to build, but it makes sales easier, and it means that you attract more people to your website. Yeah. But it's harder to measure and track. So, like you said, brand awareness has a huge impact on a business, but takes time to achieve. Then you've got lead generation. Now, most business owners, what they think of as a lead is not the same as what a marketer would think of as a lead.
Correct. Well,
so in JDR and with a lot of other clients we work with, we see a lead as a contact, a statement of interest of some sort. But a lot of business owners see it as someone who is genuinely interested in buying the product or service in the immediate future, has a budget, and wants to invite that business round to quote, talk to them. Yeah. And there's a big difference.
The worst thing is if they're not in the latter,
yes,
they never talk to them again.
Yeah.
They've spent money in some shape or form, either through sweat and labour, or having premises or whatever it may be. They've done work for another customer.
Yeah.
Someone's shown an interest in their company, and because they're not ready to buy, they have the conversation and then they're forgotten. Yeah. Worse still, they employ people in their company to talk to these people, and they never talk to them again.
Yes.
They need to understand, as a result of what they did, whether it's the end result or someone talking about them, that's marketing.
Yeah.
And that is the first point of contact into their company, which needs them to understand that there's going to be other contacts to come if they do the right thing.
Yeah.
So why do companies, Will, let me ask you a question. You've worked with a lot of companies. Why do you think companies don't value an inquiry?
Leads in the same way. Well, I was just thinking about that. So it's 2 reasons, I think. Firstly, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses have grown primarily through word of mouth, referrals, networking, previous existing relationships. So many companies are people who've worked in a business, got to know the customers, set up on their own and brought some of those customers with them, rather than going out and winning lots of new business by themselves. They see following up and nurturing and talking to, let's say, half-interested people as being either a waste of time or they see it as, so a lot of business owners have got a bit of a hang up about sales, and they don't want to come across as salesy, and they don't want to feel like they're harassing people.
Yeah.
And so they will often see anything that might be considered as a sales activity almost as beneath them.
Yeah.
And they just want to wait till someone's ready to talk to them and you come to me.
Yeah.
And as a result, sometimes if a business is getting good lead generation, if those contacts aren't, what we would class as sales ready, they don't want to spend the time with them. They're not used to dealing with it. They don't have a process for dealing with it or understanding how to take someone like that and nurture them to the point where they are in a sales ready position, and they don't like or want to do the work that's involved in it. And it's not just business owners, it's a lot of salespeople.
A lot of salespeople. I was just about to say that about salespeople who only want to talk to people who are ready to buy.
And so a lot of companies think they have a marketing problem, we just need more leads. Actually, they probably do have a marketing problem, but they also have a sales problem.
Right, and that comes back to the difference between marketing and sales. Marketing attract, sales convert.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. And sometimes you've got a salesperson who needs to be both, attract and convert,
Yes.
and sometimes a salesperson who just converts.
Yep.
But you need to understand what type of salesperson or business owner you are.
Yes.
Yeah? And the reason how important this podcast is, for me, is we see so many companies recruiting salespeople and taking 2 years quite often to realise that they're actually haven't added anything to the business. They either get rid of them or they go on and on. Because of their time poor, they need somebody to do it.
Yes.
But they're totally dissatisfied with that salesperson.
Yes.
On the other hand, the salesperson might be perfectly good at sales, but not very good at the attraction side. Yes. You mentioned earlier, for example, picking the phone up and talking to somebody. That's the attraction side.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
Yes.
They just want to do the selling.
Now, the challenge with these types of conversations is that salespeople and business owners get defensive about sales.
Oh, don't they?
And so if you're listening to this
Yeah.
and you feel yourself...
Yeah, challenge us. Come back with the feedback.
I can't tell you how many times a week we hear, we're good at sales. You just put us in front of the right person and we have a very good conversion rate. And the key there is, if you put me in front of someone who's interested in buying my product...
That's right.
Most of the time, I'll convince them to buy my product.
That's exactly right.
And it's like, I sometimes use the analogy of golf. It's like thinking you're great at golf because you're a good putter.
Yeah.
Or you can do the tap-ins at the very end. There's a lot more to the game of golf. You've got to drive, you've got to have a short game, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just the putting bit at the end.
Yeah. So you're totally right, Will. So let's talk about marketing. And let's talk about digital marketing.
Yeah.
So, and your website, the whole social media, the whole gambit on that. When you have a good digital marketing strategy, you will know when the marketing function stops and the sales function kicks in.
Yes.
Not everybody, but not all business owners who invest in digital marketing really have that internal skill set.
Yep.
Okay, when the leads come in.
Yes.
So let's talk about what happens with a good digital marketing strategy, Will. Because you really do want the people who are not ready to buy yet, but have held their hand up and said, actually, I'm quite interested in your company. I'd like to ask of you a few questions.
Yes.
So for the purpose of anyone listening, Will, why is that individual just as important as the person who knocks on the door and says, hey, here's my credit card.
Yes.
I want to buy.
Well, I think there's firstly, I think industry and the type of product or service affects this, because we've worked with some businesses like plumbers, for example, where if someone needs a plumber, they don't do a lot of research or thinking about it and kicking it around for years and months. If your kitchen is flooded, you get a plumber around as quick as you can, and you'll go to Google and you'll just find a company, and someone that looks good, answers the inquiry well, is available, is the person you'll choose. So your marketing is just making sure you're there. But then there's a lot of businesses which are much more considered purchases. So we work with some companies that provide ERP software. This is software that runs your entire business. Changing systems is a huge decision for a company to make, because it affects every part of the business. And companies will consider and compare and think about that particular decision for months and years sometimes. And if you are able to generate leads from people that may have a need, may become a customer at some stage, and you can keep talking to them so they get to know, like, and trust you, you're able to get to the head of the queue when they decide, right, it's now time for us to start looking seriously at this.
Brilliant. And that's how you stop feast and famine in a business. Because if you're acting on what you just described and doing it in the right way, there's always going to be somebody coming through who you can talk to and eventually get to the point where they're ready for a quote or whatever it may be. Yeah? If you're not doing that, what happens is you get a gap between when you last done your sale. Sometimes, not all the time, and not for every company. I'm just generalising. Excuse me, I'm just generalising this conversation. You can get a long gap between one sale to the other, because it's only when you've completed that job, quite often, you then pick your head up and go, hang on, where's the next job coming? Yeah, and we see that frequently. If you're one of the companies where that doesn't happen, great. But we see that frequently where companies have finished one job and they're scratching around for the next one or the one after that. So it's really important to keep people engaged in your company. And in this day and age, you can do it in such a time-efficient way. Yeah, that can take very little of your personal time through using digital platforms and systems and know-how from a marketing perspective in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in some businesses, even just an hour a week spent on it would help build that pipeline effect. So there's always the next cab off the rank, if you like, in terms of the next job, the next opportunity to talk to, and avoiding that feast and famine.
So let's be clear. If you right now in LinkedIn and somebody gets in contact with you through LinkedIn, say, hey, I've been thinking about XYZ, yeah? Would you give me a call about it? Yeah? You're in LinkedIn, they've seen you, yeah? That's a marketing function. Now's the time for you to get in touch and invest a few minutes with that individual so they get to know, like, and trust your company. The investment in that is in the individual now has the right impression about you. You are now marketing your company. Yeah? Your job now is to make sure you get all their details, yeah? Understand their situation so that you can take action once that initial contact has ended.
In a helpful, professional way, because good sales should not make you feel like you're being pushy or salesy.
That's right.
It's professionally helping and advising.
Professionally helping people to buy.
But knowing that being proactive is a key part of that, because if you think people are going to come back to you when they're ready, they often don't. I've got loads of things I've been meaning to buy or meaning to do for a long time, and I don't get round to doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone rang me, I go, yeah, I've been meaning to do that. Glad you called. Yes, let's set that up, get that started, and I'd be grateful that they've done it.
Absolutely.
So, in an ideal world, marketing should be creating awareness and interest and creating opportunities for salespeople to start those types of conversations. So the sales function should be then taking that interest and developing that into opportunities, quotable situations, sellable situations, and then converting them into revenue.
So if you've got a company where you haven't got an obvious salesperson, effectively you do the quoting, okay, and you go out and see the potential customers or clients, and they're agreeing with you off the back of a quote or whatever to have work done. Don't see them not moving forward with you, and you following that up as now I'm being a pushy salesperson. Because the vast majority of sales aren't done by typically what you would consider your description as a salesperson.
Yeah.
It's done by somebody who the potential buyer is seen as helpful, trustworthy,
knowledgeable.
and credible and knowledgeable, which describes 99.9% of the business owners out there.
Yeah.
It's not being a grubby salesperson, okay? And don't get, if you're a salesperson, just want to be clear, I don't think salespeople are grubby. I think that sometimes that's the perception of them, or the perception of what you're doing. It's not that. It's helping people to move forward in the right way.
Yeah.
So that distinction between when they ring up and when they actually buy, that, as you said earlier, Will, that could be a year, it could be 2 years. But your job is to understand and recognise that initial inquiry, you've spent money somehow to attract that individual as a marketing function.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you have to avoid is the common scenario where the salespeople think, well, the marketing isn't working, I just need the right leads, and I'm not getting them. And the marketing people think, we're generating leads, you're just not converting them.
Yeah.
And that situation is really common. And marketing and sales should be avoiding that standoff and actually working together, so that, as a marketing agency, if leads that are being generated aren't being converted into sales, how can we work with the sales team to help the follow-up, the nurturing? There are things that the marketing team can do with email marketing and remarketing and video and so on to help with that nurturing side of the sales process, to help create useful content and case studies to help convert more sales. And the salespeople also have got valuable insights and information. They can work with the marketing team so that the two are working side by side.
Yeah, and so right, Will. So, Will, that's right in terms of, especially now, with marketing and sales have never been closer together, have they?
Yeah.
But the biggest reason is because our potential customers or clients, they've got so much information at their fingertips. So quite often, it's not like 30 years ago, you'd have a demonstration because you'd want to know what it does. You'd need a salesperson for that.
Yeah.
Because you needed to know all the information and the cost.
Yeah.
Now, our potential customers, they can got so many channels that they can find all this out from. So our marketing needs to be there when they're doing the investigation and there to answer their questions, because they don't need you as much as you think they do. Yeah, they need you when they're nearer the buying decision. Let's take a great example of that, Will, would be where it looks like car showrooms are going. Car showrooms are going where...
I just got to say, you have a great knack for always bringing this back to cars.
Yeah, I do, don't I? Yeah, I do like a car. yeah. Maybe that's what I've noticed.
We sometimes play Dave Bingo in the office, and
that's right.
Talking about cars, which should definitely be on the bingo card.
If you like cars, give me a call. I'm your man. But car showrooms are going now where you don't have to walk into a car showroom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah? It's literally go to a website,
mm-hmm.
pick the car you want, and it can be delivered to your door. The days of the salesman in the showroom are looking like they're diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think that's not coming to a product or service you provide. Mm-hmm. Yeah, never, because it's we all know that the potential for that is in a lot of industries.
Yeah.
But I mentioned that, Will, only in terms of how close marketing sales are, and the information at the customers or clients' fingertips, they can make a decision just from the information that in front of them and make thousands of pounds purchase off the back of that.
Yep.
And don't think your business is any different to that. Or if you're a marketing person listening to this, don't think your marketing is any different to that. You need to now understand that you can cater to people in the right way, but know when it's a marketing function and know when it's a sales function.
Yeah.
Someone make an inquiry into your business, that's what you need to determine. And you need to have the systems and processes to make sure that that individual never forgets you, because you're always there when they need you.
Yeah. Yeah, and understand that if you're in that situation where you're thinking, well, I want to double my revenue, or I want to get another £2 million in sales in 2023, you will need marketing and also sales.
Correct.
In order to achieve that.
Correct, Will.
Marketing alone won't do it. The two things need to be working together, and you may need to improve some elements of how your business sells.
So, Will, why do a lot of businesses, in your opinion, I have mine, don't value marketing? They value selling in whatever shape that belongs in their business. We know that there's lots of businesses doing great turnover, and we know it plateaus because they get to a ceiling and they don't know how to take it on.
Yes.
And normally it's because they don't know how to take the business out there beyond word of mouth, etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a 6-step system, and the first step is to develop a strategy, and we're going to say, right, we've got to do the strategy before we do the tactics. And with marketing, business owners tend to jump in with tactics without doing the strategy first.
Yeah.
And so they'll try a Facebook ads campaign or a Google ads campaign, or redesign their website, or do a brochure. And the expectation is almost like going up to a fruit machine. I don't know if they have fruit machines anymore, but
Digital one.
when I was a lad, they did. And you'd put your pound in, and you hit the jackpot, and the money came out. And that's how people see marketing. And it's because of what we've been talking about. This, they think marketing produces sales, and it does. But marketing produces great marketing results, which, if aligned well with sales, will produce great sales results.
100%.
But it usually is something that has to be built up over a period of time, a bit like going to the gym and expecting 6-pack abs on day one. You've got to do it over a period of time. And so often people put the pound in the fruit machine and then don't get anything out, and they're disappointed. So, well, I'm not going to put that budget in. They see it as a gamble.
Yeah.
When it isn't, it's more like an investment.
Well, yeah, we know that, Will. And we've seen that, we've seen the result of that, not just in our company, but with companies we work with. And when in this day and age where there's so much information, as I've been talking about, to business owners and so on and so forth, I am surprised. Think about this a second. 20 years ago, when we talked about marketing, business owners had an opinion. 20 years later, we're still hearing those same opinions, about marketing.
Yeah.
And in that time frame, we've had all this digital revolution. We've had all these different, we've seen companies come up off the back of just being on Instagram and being sold for millions. Yeah. We've had individuals coming from nowhere. Look at the Instagram models. Look at all the different things that these marketing channels have got in front of people.
Someone like Joe Wicks that has become, has got multiple book deals, TV star, largely on the back of building a big Instagram following.
So tell me, Will, in your opinion, why is it we still hear the same negatives about marketing, yes, from business owners, even though all this revolution and all this prosperity has happened during that time frame? Well,
in my view, Dave, the fundamentals of business haven't changed in that time, and the fundamentals of small business haven't changed. And if you've ever, as you're listening to this, if you ever read a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which is my favourite book on small business, Michael Gerber explains how you have entrepreneurs, you have technicians, and you have managers. And most people that start businesses are technicians rather than entrepreneurs. They're people who have been great engineers, or plumbers, to use the plumbing example, or car salespeople, or whatever. They've been doing a particular trade or profession, solicitor, accountant, and then they start a business that provides that service, and they have the technical know-how, professional know-how, but they aren't necessarily trained in marketing or in sales or in finance or in lots of other areas of business. And so it's just a knowledge gap that is completely understandable and to be expected. And hopefully, through listening to podcasts like this, we can help you as a business owner listening to this just to see marketing in a different way and see how, when combined with sales, it really can help your business to achieve the 1 million extra revenue or whatever the revenue target is. But it's not as straightforward as, right, we just put some ads in and our sales will go up.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, Will. When somebody and companies get approached about marketing every day, and sometimes they believe in a particular tactic, like YouTube or pay-per-click or Facebook, yes? So they say to the company, it doesn't work because they've done straight into tactics without strategy. Not knocking companies out there, but you should never do marketing without it should plug into an overall strategy.
Yes.
It should be done in isolation if you really want it to work. And it needs time to develop.
Yeah.
And because that's not done, it doesn't work, and they go, that's the end of that. Yeah. Not doing marketing again. These companies are...
It's like if you're a web design company, you're convinced that the root of everyone's problems is that they need a new website. Or if you're a pay-per-click agency, the answer is you need Google Ads.
Yeah.
If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Yeah. I think business owners lose their belief and trust that marketing will work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's why they then want activities or tactics that will bring them sales rather than be a marketing function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will work. Our 6-step system is a system, and having a systematic approach with time, then your marketing will deliver amazing things for your business. But there has to be a strategy, there has to be a system, and it has to be given time. You can't just be chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because it just doesn't exist.
Yeah. So to finish off, make sure that you understand in your business that you need a marketing function that brings in, as we would say in the old days, inquiries, and a sales function that converts those inquiries.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to win. And understanding when the marketing function starts and finishes, and where the sales function starts and finishing, depending on your industry and service, is a very important thing as a business owner for you to understand.
Yeah. Now, if you'd like to know more about this, on our website we have a free guide section. You can download a guide called How to Attract, Win, Keep and Grow Customers that goes through the 6-step process to growing your business. We mentioned LinkedIn. We have a guide to using LinkedIn for business, and you can download that for free there. Otherwise, thank you very much for being with us through what's been a fascinating discussion. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. And like I said, you want to know about cars, give me a shout.
Yeah.
Be good. Bye for now.